All right, good morning, group chat. I'm here to play Nuclear Throne, as was said. I'm going to reach the throne 4 times in a row with 4 different characters. I'm joined here with fimbz. How are you doing, fimbz?
I'm doing great.
Okay, good to hear. Okay, and so the basis of this run basically is going to be, it was a bidding war between 4 characters, and that is now closed. And to the host, I want to know what characters ended up winning that bid war.
Absolutely. Our 4 characters will be melting with $432.50 raised for PCF, Fish with $410, Robot with $339, and Chicken with $255. All of that raised for PCF. Thank you so much for having your voice heard.
Okay, and just to double check that, that was melting, chicken, robot, and fish?
Absolutely perfect, Fish.
Okay, that sounds good. I'm going to go ahead and start with melting. He is the hardest character by far, so I will be just a bunch of peace of mind if I get started with this one. So I'm going to get right into it. 3, 2, 1, let's go.
So I'm going to explain a little bit about the game while Fish is running, because Melting is a hard character and she wants to focus.
I gotta lock in.
Basically, when you play a normal character, you start with like 8 HP, and Melting has 2. You die in 1 hit to like everything. So basically, normally what you need to do is to kill all the enemies in an area, and a portal will open to the next area, and you go on in that fashion until you reach the Nuclear Throne, and then you kill the throne and you sit on it, and the run is over. So one thing that we already did, which is kind of weird, is in the first level we actually didn't kill anything. We just kind of opened a couple containers, and then the boss spawned prematurely like 3 stages before he's supposed to, and then we killed him and went to an underwater oasis. And that skips all of like World 1 and 2, and you just end up in 3-1. And it's very fast, obviously, because you're skipping a bunch of levels, but there is a notable... Yeah, sorry. There is a noticeable downside to skipping levels like that. Every time you complete a level, there's a counter in the game that increments by 1, and that counter determines what kind of weapons can spawn. So by skipping levels, we go faster, but our weapons are like theoretically worse on average.
And one thing worth mentioning as well is I actually picked up a mutation. The first mutation I picked up is called Strong Spirit, and that is one of the exceptions to the rule of this character dying in 1 hit to everything. In fact, I just lost my Strong Spirit because I took a hit. This recharges on every level whenever I get full health. It's only once per level, but now if I go through a level transition, I'll get it back, and it'll save me once from 1 fatal hit. So that is very, very useful on melting. Not so much on other characters, because, you know, safety usually isn't great for other characters, but I value it super highly on melting. And speaking of mutations in general, as I'm killing enemies, I'm collecting these like little green radiation packets. And as I collect those in the top left corner of my screen, that fills a rad meter. As you can see, I just hit level 5. And when I go through an area transition right here, it'll give me 4 mutations. And I just kind of pick what I get, basically. It's pure RNG. Here I'm picking Patience, which is just a reroll. I didn't like any of my options there, so I'm just picking that. Okay, charge the vault here. I'm gonna take the vault here because it cuts out all 5-2 basically. Instead of having to kill enemies, I can just go to the vault instantly.
So Fish just picked up a crown, and there's only 1 crown we ever really take, which is Crown of Curses. And the general thing with crowns is that they give you some kind of upside for some kind of downside. I think Crown of Curses just spawns more cursed chests. Cursed chests can contain cursed weapons, which if you pick them up, you just can't swap off of them.
This is very dangerous here. This is Little Hunter. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, so that's why we're starting with melting.
Yeah, this is why we're starting with melting. I lost my spirit to just the most random IDPD shot of all time, and yeah, just got overwhelmed.
Yeah.
It happens. So again, with mutations, it's just pure RNG. I'm actually going to reset this one. Melee weapons on 1-1 are just miserable to play with. The melting experience we're getting right now, it happens.
But yeah, so normally we would just be killing everything, but you'll notice that we're kind of just avoiding killing stuff, because if you kill too many enemies, you don't get the same interaction that spawns Big Bandit early.
Yeah, you can afford to kill about 3 enemies. There we go, okay.
And so you'll see like when we enter the next level on the loading screen, there's kind of a a trace on the map that shows you kind of the path you take, and you'll see that it like kind of goes off the map and then comes back because we skipped a bunch of levels.
Yeah. It's worth talking about melee weapons in general. They're very, very popular among a lot of players in general. They're extremely powerful in score runs, for example. But in a speedrun, they're actually quite bad. They take quite a bit of mutations to sustain. They tend to get better whenever the enemy density is higher, which happens in loops, which I'm not going to be doing in this run. And all around, they're just kind of low DPS, kind of mediocre. There's some pretty good melee options, but most of them aren't available by the end of the game. And then by the end of the game, I just want something that's way better. Okay, trigger fingers here. Not great with bullet weapons. Whenever I kill an enemy, it'll instantly reload it'll partially reload my weapons. And with bullet weapons that fire so fast, it's literally meaningless. Doesn't mean anything. This is a decent time to get in a donation or two.
Absolutely. You are getting so much love coming in from your community. Fresh Maniac donates $25 and says, praying to bless this run with a Gatsuka. Praise Archie.
Thank you, Fresh. That's actually a person I did the Dust Force race with back in SGDQ 2018, so shout out to them.
We also got in $20 from Coral, who says, love to see the #1 Pistons fan on GDQ.
They had a huge win against the Cavs the other day, just massive. Shouts to Dennis Jenkins.
They also say GLHF.
Thank you, Carl.
So when Fish was warming up on stage, we actually got like a really rare interaction where you see a Yeti for like a couple frames at the beginning of the level. It's like completely random, but
Yeah, I can count the number of times I've seen that in a speedrun on one hand. Like, it is extremely rare, and it just happened. So, okay, so I'm back in the vault. I'm gonna mash 6 here to take Crown of Curses again, more cursed weapons. I'll touch a bit more on crowns. They're supposed to kind of have downsides, but Crown of Curses is honestly like all upside. Other crowns just kind of really just have really bad downsides that range from like you don't get ammo drops anymore, like just absolutely want nothing to do with that in a speedrun. But Crown of Curses can just make me roll really good weapons randomly sometimes. So even if it doesn't pan out, it's usually just worth taking. And that's a little 100 down, thankfully. The trick with him is you just got to rush him down. He is actually, I think, slightly less, or either slightly less or slightly more HP than Big Bandit. So if you just really pressure him, he usually goes down pretty quick.
I just realized that we never actually explained the actual upside of playing Melting, which is that every time you kill an enemy, it leaves a corpse behind, and Melting's power is that if you right-click, it explodes all the corpses that are on screen, which damages other enemies. So there is a reason to play Melting. It's just that Melting is still bad.
Yeah, and the funny thing as well is I just took Second Stomach. That gives HP drops will give me 4 instead of 2. And now, in the top left corner of the screen, I have 2 maximum HP. So you might be like, why do you care about, why would you take a mutation that gives you more health from health drops when you can't even use the health? Anyway, so I'm in Palace now. The enemies here are extremely tanky and extremely dangerous, but I luckily have a very, very good range build, so I can just kind of shoot them from a distance. I am coming up on a namesake of the game, the Nuclear Throne, the final boss of an any percent run. I need this guy to jump because I need ammo. Okay, see ya. Oh my gosh, Super Sliker is so good.
You do not want to pet the dogs.
Yeah, they do 6 damage to me. I have Spirit, so I would survive it, but obviously not ideal to lose my Spirit, especially in an area with projectiles like that. But yeah, the Nuclear Throne, he is not a very interesting boss, but he is like a very conceptually interesting boss, if that makes sense. Because the entire run, he is basically a massive DPS check that has a ton of health. And so it completely warps the meta of what weapons you consider and yeah, just what you consider, what mutations you take and all that. But the actual boss itself mechanically is like, you just kind of shoot at him. So there's a bit of cutscene that's involved. This is a great time for donations.
Absolutely. We have a lot of love coming in from your community, like this $20 donation from Queen Magnolia that says, let's go, Fish.
Thank you.
$25 from Bree 12 a.m. that says, waking up early to watch Fish destroy some nuclear throne. Good luck, gamer.
Thank you, Bree. Okay, whenever it makes that sound, it's on low HP. That is a very unfortunate spirit loss. I'm gonna back up a little bit, actually. It's very risky to do this because it's gonna start spawning in ads, but it was almost dead. So that is melting done. That is just a huge relief. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and do Robot next. Robot, his deal, first of all, what a cutie, he is adorable. But his deal is that he gets better weapons. Like the way fimbz described weapons earlier and how they drop is that it's basically like a pool that you can see, and Robot basically just advances that pool. Now that doesn't guarantee that you see better weapons, but it gives you just a chance at seeing them. Kind of leaves Robot being kind of like a lower tier character because he can quite literally offer you nothing in a run. Like it could just be like a blank slate sort of character, but sometimes you get the funniest high roll of all time, and he is just the GOAT. So I'm gonna hope for that. And his other deal, his active ability, you eat a weapon, which it's basically just like a health or ammo drop. It's random what you get, and it completely just deletes the weapon. This is actually an example. This is a weapon I cannot normally get on 3-3 laser rifle, and it is actually a very strong weapon, so I will be taking this. I will be hoping for a laser brain to buff it.
So you might have also noticed there that when we started attacking Big Dog, Fish just kind of swapped weapons a bunch of times and was able to fire very fast. If there's a weapon on the ground and you can swap between it quickly, it just deletes the cooldown. So you can just spam swap or pick up a weapon and just keep shooting over and over again.
Yeah, it just instantly reloads the weapon. So it does require a bit of mashing, but it saves so much time. It's not usually worth doing on Throne. It's worth doing in very niche scenarios because you have to run back up to the boss, and that loses some time. Okay, Frozen City again. This is a great build for robots. Have to watch out for cars. Pretty much every explosion in this game does at least 10 damage to you, which will instantly kill me unless I have specific mutations. Actually, speaking of, I have one of those mutations. I kind of just forgot.
True.
Boiling Veins, whenever I take an explosive hit, it will leave me with at minimum 4 HP left. So it basically is like almost a strong spirit, but for specifically explosions. Sounds kind of mediocre, but there's a lot of excellent endgame explosive weapons that are so much safer to use with Boiling Veins. Great layout, by the way. Thank you. Okay, taking Crown of Curses again. Robot can actually eat cursed weapons, but he gets a really bad stomachache and it hurts really bad, so I'm going to avoid doing that. Okay, Little Hunter again. Focus just a tiny bit. You want him to spawn IDPD because he will stop shooting for just one moment. But there's basically no shot you have at dodging the individual bullets they fire. It's just, it's such a chaotic mess.
Also, for those not in the know, the IDPD is the Interdimensional Police Department.
Yes. It's like a faction in a game. You would see it a lot more in a loop, but unfortunately you don't really interact with that part of the game in an 8% run, other than entering the Crown Vault. Okay, quad machine gun. Another thing I don't think you can find here normally. It's very weird because it's a cursed weapon and it's robot. I have no idea. Thank you, Boiling Veins. That saved my life. That's interesting.
Oh yeah,
I've never seen that before. Okay.
In this area, you can get like the necromancers, and they'll just kind of revive.
Yeah, they revive corpses that are on the floor and turn them into fish freaks. I've never seen them do it out of bounds, though. That is very interesting.
Would you say that that's never happened before?
I think you could say that. Yes, that's true. Okay, finishing up Palace. This is a good time for donations again, I think.
Fantastic. SexRex donates $10 and says, Radioactive Chair is one of my favorite games of all time. Always great to see someone absolutely rip through it.
Appreciate it. It's good hearing from you.
Also, $5 from Gulump, who says, Greetings, Fish. Best of luck with Run. Hope melting treats you well. Long live Archie.
Appreciate it. Good to hear from you as well.
Melting did not treat us well.
It kind of didn't, but hey, we're past it now, so I can forgive him. And I cannot forgive this layout. What am I looking at? There's Spirit.
Just turned into a Toho.
Oh, okay. Oh, that's an average palace. Let me actually, this is huge. I'm actually going to eat some weapons. I would never do this in a million years, but I need health and ammo. So, good time and more donations. Going into throwing fights to some cutscenes here.
Fantastic. Zykier donates $25 to the Prevent Cancer Foundation and says, your nuclear throne run is radiating success, Muffin. But I guess I'm just fishing for compliments.
Good.
A $10 donation from Wormo says, one of my all-time favorite games. What a joy to see it absolutely obliterated. There's also a donation from Frozen Flygon. I know things are wild here. $25 from Frozen Flygon saying, hey, so Fish, I'm the one. You don't understand. My cards are that bad. But this run is like at least a 6. One of the best runs I've ever seen. Happy to be up at 2 a.m. in the crowd cheering you on.
Appreciate it so much. Thank you. Okay, fish time. This character can roll famously, so the meme goes. But roll is actually very nice as a movement option. I was actually kind of underrating it, but I was doing practice for this character, and I was like, wait, this is insane. So beyond that, passive, he gets more ammo per drop. Kind of useless, unfortunately. It's just not that impactful. Pretty nice for score runs, admittedly. It leans me towards wanting to take energy drops because they're generally just the most rewarding. I'll talk a little bit, actually, mutation picking philosophy. So there is obviously like an established metagame of like the best mutations, and it is random which ones you see. So sometimes you just see kind of like bad mutations. But that said, there's like 4 or so mutations I would say that are like absolute S tier. Like if you want a serious like world record tier run, you would be resetting for them, or at least 3 of them or something. But a lot of the time you just have to take what you can get and just kind of make decisions on the fly. And a big thing with it is it's not really worth just sitting on a mutation screen and really pondering your options if a pool is mediocre. If nothing jumps out to you, you're probably not having any choices that'll save that time back, if that makes sense. You'll have something like impact wrist that'll like fling around corpses and do a tiny bit of damage to enemies. Back muscle, which I took first here, is a great example. It lets me hold more ammo, but I frankly don't really care about that. I'm going jungle here. This has potential to be very risky, but this is another thing. If you are serious about going for a world record time in this category, you would want to go for jungle. The layouts are much faster on average than a Frozen City layout. So basically, by entering the jungle flower, by taking Last Wish, you can visit a jungle level and skip a bunch of Frozen. You skip basically all of 5-1, and then you skip all of 5-2 by taking the jungle flower. So I'm playing it a little safe and slow because, as you can see, there's just like bandits running at me that are just peppering me with bullets, and it's really frustrating. And it is also, whenever you get a jungle layout, you really want it to be open so that you just have enemies constantly kind of running into you instead of having to peek corners on them. I'm actually going to take Paw here. Stress is objectively the best choice in the long run, but I really need some health here, and this is a very icky layout. Health is great here, though.
Also worth mentioning that like to get into jungle, you, as Fish mentioned, have to take Last Wish, but you also have to feed the flower. You have to sacrifice your own health total to enter. So it also kind of makes it sketchier to go in there.
Yeah, a lot of the time you can get a lucky health drop before going into jungle, but a lot of the time you enter with 4 HP, and that is super sketchy and annoying. A actually very common play you will make is you will go jungle and then immediately take Last Wish again just to refill your health and ammo. It's actually worth talking about Last Wish in general. Casually, it's very easy to write off because it just is a one-time instant refill of your health and ammo. And as you get better at the game, you value that less and less because it's like you're playing for the long term rather than a short term. Well, these runs are like 4 minutes long, so there is no long term. Just having a button I can press that instantly gives me full health and ammo has bailed probably thousands of runs I've done. Like, and that might be a low ball. Like, it is such a simple mutation, but it is unbelievably top tier. Okay, another icky 6-1 layout. 6-1 is probably, I would say, the most random area in the game in terms of the layouts you get. These can range from like 5 seconds long to like 50. And we're getting closer to the end of 50 on this one, it seems like. So another decent time for donations.
Fantastic. RyGuy65 donates $100 and thank you so much, and says, Nuclear Throne is my favorite game of all time, and I'm unbelievably happy to be a part of the community and to see it return to HDQ this year. Good luck on the runs. May your labs be wondrous and the auto crossbows be plentiful.
Yes. Thank you, RyGuy. That's another speedrunner of the game shoutouts.
Also, of course, as was mentioned, the meme, $5 from Bosozoku Volvo, who says, fish can roll.
So it goes. Okay, here actually I got laser brain and I have laser cannon, which more than most other weapons, I would say, it gets buffed to a ridiculous degree by laser cannon. Laser cannon without brain is like kind of mediocre, honestly. Like take it or leave it. What the plasma cannon? Hello. But with brain, I think it fires extra lasers, and those lasers last longer, so they do more damage, and it's just unbelievable. And as I'm like talking up the laser cannon so much, I found plasma cannon, which is probably the best energy weapon I can find in the game. With laser brain, it just melts everything. And something fun I can do is as these legs on a throne pop out, I can fire a shot, and he'll just fully absorb it and take a ton of damage. And from here, I just fire a few more shots and he'll be going down. There it is. Yeah, super fast fight. Okay, and then I'll be going on to my last character here. And I believe that is Chicken. Can I get a verification on it? Actually, I'm sorry.
Absolutely, Chicken was correct.
All right. Chicken it is. First of all, shout outs to the C-Skin on Chicken. I'll actually say right now, a large reason why I'm playing this game again is there was actually a 10-year anniversary patch for this game that got released in December. Playing on that patch, it adds widescreen, as you can see, and 60 FPS. For a speedrun, it's actually been pretty huge. A lot of people really talk up, shout outs to Double Melee Start, by the way, horrible RNG. A lot of people talk up the widescreen as like saving a bunch of time on scanning levels, and they're not entirely wrong, but I would say 60 FPS has felt more impactful to me in practice. It just really smooths over your movement and just subtly saves time all over the place. There's some other changes that happened as well. There's a lot of bug fixes that occurred that have been both beneficial and negative to the speedrun. The biggest of which is Oasis back in the day. The Oasis chest was nearly guaranteed to give you the exact same weapon you saw in the red chest of 1-1. And that was a huge part of the speedrun metagame, was just resetting for a good 1-1 weapon, and then seeing that weapon again in Oasis and just dual wielding them for most of the run. With Steroids in particular, who is the fastest character in the game. But now you have to be a bit more flexible with weapons. That's more, for like PB pace attempts for like individual characters, but for a thing like this where it's more like a marathon of playing a bunch of characters back to back, it's certainly you take what you can get. And actually talk about Chicken a little bit. Her thing, she can throw weapons. Very simple, unbelievable amount of tech with it that I will be trying to show off. It'll come up especially on Throne, but other than that, her passive, whenever I take fatal damage, I'll lose my head and I'll kind of bleed out over time, and if I get health, I'll basically be revived, but with less maximum HP. Don't want to ever do that. It is very low odds that I even get a health drop in time to be able to like undo going headless, so that passive ends up being kind of worthless. In a lot of situations, and then even if it works out, you end up in these horrible like snowballing situations where you have 6 max HP, then you take a hit, then you have 4 max HP, then you have 2, and then pretty soon you have 0 and you're dead. Build's kind of mediocre, decent time for donations, so it's going to take me a little bit of time to chew through these enemies.
Absolutely. Whisper Walrus donates $25 and says, I love Nuclear Throne almost as much as I love trans rights.
Shout outs. Thank you for the donation.
A $20 donation also came in from It's Lexi, who says, long live Archie.
Shout outs, Archie. Thank you, Lexi.
And Wasteland King donates $10 and says, well, well, well. If it isn't someone else who wants to sit on the big protons and neutrons chair. Wishing you a blessed loadout despite your love of cursed crowns.
Thank you. Speaking of, this is a pretty good example of a 5-2 where it's not that great to go take Crown of Curses. Just a pretty fast layout all around, so I'll just skip Crown of Curses. I'll take a last wish here to refill my ammo. That actually synergizes nicely with back muscle, giving me pretty much all the ammo I'll need for the run. One more little hunter fight in the main run at least. Hopefully it goes smoothly. Already taken quite a bit of chip damage. All right, stop, jumping please, thank you. Really need that guy with a car to die. Those guys with a car seem kind of unassuming until they're not. They will chuck the car at you and pretty much instantly kill you. It is one of the objectively funniest ways in the game to die, speaking of. But it's, yeah, less than ideal, obviously. So that there, whenever Little Hunter dies, they kind of fly around in a circle and then they explode. And it's just pure RNG. Many a score run has been lost to that just happening, especially because in loop, that explosion scales in size with every loop. Hilarious decision, by the way. Shout out to the devs for doing that. But yeah, sometimes Hunter just flies into you. And luckily Chicken is like the character that can deal with that.
Yeah, so we did lose 2 max health, unfortunately.
Yeah, now we're 6 max health. So we're basically melting, but we can throw weapons, and that's, pretty awesome.
Yeah. We are now melting with Rhino, and also we can throw weapons.
Yes. Okay, I might consider bazooka. It's kind of risky. Okay, grenade rifle is just better. Okay, forget I said anything. Okay, going into Palace. Last section of Palace. Palace is really miserable without a lot of good damage options. And I also have Hostile Horror. Hello, what are you doing here? So Hostile Horror spawns if you miss too many rad cans, and so throughout the run, it's a very subtle thing, but I will be trying to destroy rad canisters because Hostile Horror just chews through your health instantly and destroys your own projectiles. So it is very threatening. It is such a meme. Like whenever you tell people that don't speedrun that like no, Hostile Horror is like a legitimate threat that will kill your run, they're like, you can't be serious. But no, it's very real. Okay, so I got Spirit, just a nice safety mutation. I want safety just to finish out this run. This is a pretty good example of just taking what you can get sort of run. I found pretty much not many options that really put a smile on my face. So we're just slowly chewing through enemies. And I believe I heard the sound cue for that one being the last. Okay. All right, and one more throne fight, and then that'll be time. So I would say time probably in like a minute. Okay, so that aside, oh wait, I'm actually playing Chicken. I'm playing the funny character. This is actually probably going to be faster to do to backpedal and do this, and I want to show it off. So let me throw this with me. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this to hot swap on the throne. This is one of the main upsides in Chicken in a speedrun, actually. Other characters can't really, as I mentioned earlier, can't really hot swap on throne without losing time. So here, theoretically, if I didn't forget to do it earlier, I could be throwing the weapon with me as I was walking the throne, then activate it, and then we will mash. Okay, it's got a little risky, so I'm gonna stop. Just kidding. Maybe I shouldn't. Oh, that was real bad. Okay. Not a problem, and that'll be time as soon as I sit down here. And that's time.
GG.
And I'm actually headless on the throne. That is valid for a finish. The in-game time is stopped. That's a nice upside for Chicken. You can just tank the throne explosion and sit instantly. And, she's fine with it. And I believe also on this monitor cutscene, it'll show up headless. Yep. Cute little Easter egg. So anyway, I'm going to hop right into the incentive while I'm kind of setting up. Do you have a donation real quick?
Absolutely. I do want to shout out really quick. Thank you, chat, for meeting this incentive so that we could raise $10,000 for PCF and get to see Cuz get run. So thank you so much for that, chat. You made this happen. I'm so grateful. It's thanks in part to wonderful donations like this $25 donation from Zooch, who says, "You're so neat and good at video games." And that's directed at you, Fish, not at me. They're talking about you. You're good at video games.
Appreciate it. I try my best. Okay. Just to give a little intro on Cuz, this is the newest character, as I mentioned. Update 100 came out in December, and by surprise, I think it was a surprise. It was a surprise to me, at least. I want to call it a surprise. They added Cuz, the cousin of YV, this guy over here. His deal is that he's just a silly little guy who loves watching TV and crying a lot. And if you're thinking to yourself, like, that's such a mood, that's me for real, I have excellent news about your viability in a speedrun when the nuclear apocalypse hits. Because Cuz is an excellent character for a speedrun. He can cry, and it basically shoots out an AoE around him and does massive damage to anything that doesn't do contact damage. So I'm going to go ahead and jump right into it. That'll be 3, 2, 1, let's go. Cuz time. So the way you build tiers, this meter in the top left right here, is you take a bit of damage. I couldn't find a great source of damage here. Oh wait, I got it. And so 2 right clicks just deletes Big Bandit. Just does an unreal amount of damage. So again, the boss doesn't do contact damage, so I can safely just walk into it and just arc it out. A very fun fact with Cuz, actually, a nice little bit of flavor, is you cannot cry underwater in Oasis. Oasis is considered an underwater area. It's the only one in the game like that, and you cannot cry there because, you know, it's water. There's some other funny interactions, like if you try to use a lightning weapon underwater, it'll just kill you. Very funny. Okay, so I'm gonna try, this is a very awkward layout. There's some snipers I wanna get rid of. There we go, and I'm gonna walk into Big Bandit, and 1, 2, 3, and it may not look like it, but I just did about 80% of its health. Yep, it's just dead. So Cuz in the early game, that's 2 wrenches, by the way, fantastic big red chest. It's basically the fastest character in the early game on average. Unfortunately, the character kind of falls off in the mid-game, but if the character had a competitive mid-game with some of the other top-tier characters, this would maybe be the best character in the game for speedrunning. It's kind of unreal how much time the tiers can save. And I'm actually going to be going to jungle this run, and tiers really shine in jungle because they also delete projectiles.
There's actually one more thing about Cuz, which is that he can hold 3 weapons, but unfortunately that's like worthless.
It's pretty bad for a speedrun. If anything, it kind of loses me time on weapon swapping, and this is actually, I'm actually not going to go jungle here because the flower spawned very far from me, and it's maybe still worth doing. Okay, most awkward interaction ever. I'm actually going to use a toxic launcher to finish this guy, because if I walk through the flower, I know the frame I walk into that flower, he's throwing that car, and I am exploding and dying in real life.
That's how strong those guys are. They kill you in real life.
It hurts. Okay, so we're going to progress as normal, and Last Wish will just be kind of cosmetic this run, but it's fine. But yeah, there is actually a way you can bind keybinds on Cuz to where you can press number keys and you can swap weapons that way. It's something I haven't learned yet, and it's such awkward muscle memory. Like, I would have to move my finger up like an inch, and I can't have that, you know? Okay, get that health. Let me actually use some tears. And as you can see, I'm deleting projectiles. Probably saved my life there, came close to it. Okay, triple machine gun will help me push so much. Finally got a weapon. Here we go. To my right. Thank you, Vault. Okay, Little Hunter coming up. Unfortunately, Little Hunter is kind of awkward to use tears on because it doesn't do contact damage, but it does have like a flame AoE around it. And you could, in theory, spam and use that to like just spam out more tears. But if you accidentally kill Little Hunter on top of you, it does a death explosion, which will kill you. So you either have to have boiling veins or be very careful. And I chose to be very careful.
Oh man, he was coming for you.
Yeah, I remember in my submission for this, Little Hunter flew around in a circle for like 20 seconds, and I just kind of stood there and waited for it to happen. And the moment I started moving, it flew into my path and exploded and dropped my spirit. I was like, that's excellent. Very silly boss. Okay, Assault Slugger is excellent. Got some bullets. And for the rest of the run, tears aren't the most impactful thing ever. I actually want to be able to push in and get this health. Very dangerous in this level whenever you start running low on ammo and get kind of cornered. Energy Screwdriver is kind of a bail here because I can just do this. Energy Screwdriver, very slept on weapon. I feel like the secret's kind of out on it, but it does the same damage as the Energy Sword, and it fires like twice as fast. So it's a very strong weapon. I'll especially use it in Palace because it'll shred through dogs, deletes projectiles. I mentioned melee weapons aren't great. energy screwdriver is one of those exceptions, which is funny because you wouldn't think it because it's just a little stick, that you poke, but it's very powerful. Take Throne Butt. Throne Butt buffs like the individual active abilities of each character. On Cuz, whenever I take damage, I get full tier meter instead of just one charge. It's like, okay, it's fine. Not going to get excited about it, but it is quite fun. Not necessarily the fastest thing. I'm going to check this cursed chest. That's why you check cursed chests. It's very easy just to kind of turn your brain off and start pushing, but it is from time to time just worth going a little bit out of your way and checking a red chest if you can help it. Energy Sword Watch would consider an upgrade over E-Screw. Maybe a mistake, but it's just safer. Okay. Then one more throne fight. Hopefully it doesn't go like the chicken one. I just cannot believe I survived that. That was unbelievable. Okay, run up here.
While we got cutscene, you have time for a quick message?
Yeah, go for it.
I just want to mention to chat that the bid wars have opened up for naming the Final Fantasy X characters coming up, and currently in the lead for Bahamut is Archie.
Whoa, how'd that happen?
Through wonderful donations from chat, gdq.gg/donate. Get your donations in, put it towards naming Bahamut Archie. Do it for Archie.
Please do it for Archie. Thank you. Okay, this is why I took the energy sword, just to delete those. And that'll be time for the incentive as soon as I sit here. And that's time. All right, as I go through the credits, just a couple shout-outs for my side. Big shout-outs to devs for this again. This update was the 10-year anniversary. A lot of devs wouldn't put into effort to make a 10-year update, but these devs are built different and did it. And there were a handful of things along the way that I bug reported, and they got fixed within hours, which is just awesome. Beyond that, huge shout out to the people on back couch supporting me. A lot of old Celeste friends back there. Really appreciate you coming out. And beyond that, anything from you, fimbz?
Nope. Shout out to birds. Birds are cool.
Yeah, I'm always saying this. So with all that aside, all I have left to say is long live Archie, and thanks for having me.
Fish McMuffin.